Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I am the Stepson of Krypton,
I'm Mantis.
and today we are wrapping up Peacemaker, discussing, reviewing, talking about issues. Now I gotta. We're not going there. Episodes 7 and 8. Mantis. There's quite a lot to unpack in these last two. I'll say issues again. Episodes. Are you ready to get on into the discussion before this goes off the rails even
I'm
further?
I'm ready.
All right, guys, we're not gonna waste any more time. Let's just get on into it. All right, guys. So season 2 of Peacemaker has wrapped. Now, I know we're recording this on a Friday, kind of outside of our normal recording schedule because we didn't want to wait almost another week after the last episode had aired because at least in our time zone, it's coming out at 9 p.m. I'm asleep, so I don't watch it until Friday. Mantis, I know you're about the same because everything will work. So we got to watch it finally. We want to go ahead and get this video out as quick as possible to go ahead and wrap up the season. Mantis, let's start with episode 7. We left off with him noticing that there is a swastika on the American flag on the office, and boom, we see the other Amelia come in, and then we start episode 7.
Yeah, yeah.
Kick it off. Let us know.
He's so confused, and then she's like, "How did you not notice the issue or the books of what do you say every
Mein Kampf.
Mein Kampf on every desk? How'd I miss that? like how do you miss that?" Again, like we said, the last video in this series, there were kind of signs of that.
I saw the sign. When you opened up my eyes, I saw the sign.
How'd you like that, motherfucker?
Again, you know, it's interesting. I don't know if he fully expects Harcourt to kind of still feel something for him. But Harcourt did come in with the rest of the team to, save him. Now, at this point, he hadn't seen the rest of the team. He'd only seen Harcourt, right? But yeah, he ends up breaking up with the other Amelia. And then, there's a fight that ensues there, and they somehow escape. This is the funniest thing. Like, okay, he jumps with his jetpack, goes out the front door. They're not moving that fast to his bike, and they're just like no one chasing him out the front door until they get on the bike, and then they come out. I'm just like, I don't know. It's bad guy stormtrooper logic. It's kind of the same thing, I guess, in this universe. The Nazi bad guys are like stormtroopers. They're just very slow. They escape. This episode was okay. Again, there's some identity politics pushed in this episode that's kind of whatever. Like I said, I don't necessarily hate the Nazi realm of that. There's been several shows. There's one, I forget the one on Amazon that was on there forever, but of if Germany had won World War II and what happened in the US, all that stuff. It's a cool storyline to explore. It's weird to do it here in Peacemaker, but it is kind of funny. So appreciated that.
Like I said, now real quick for those who hadn't seen the last episode we did, this is supposedly Earth X, which is that other Earth that was where the Nazis had won World War II. So it's not outside the realm. We've seen it in the Arrowverse as well. So it's not outside the realm of DC, but you can kind of get the message that's kind of embedded in there. But go ahead.
Yeah, because there's a couple of parts in there where what's the green suited guy that comes in there? Judo Master saves Adebayo. Hey, I said it right. Adebayo by electrocuting 25 he said or something like that in the pool, which is kind of wild. But then I forget what she asked him, like, what's your record? Or he's like, my record was blah blah blah.
It was 4 because he's like
4, yeah.
Most people have ever electrocuted in a swimming pool with a telephone wire. What was the record for? Yeah. So
they go in it. The whole thing there, and then I guess also at the same time, the kind of maybe the funniest part of this episode was Economos got captured by Papa, and he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Just Economos is that him and Adrian are the comic relief throughout, right? Chris can have funny lines. here and there, but like him and Tim Meadows when he's on the screen, those are your comic relief. And him being stabbed in the hand and then tied up was funny, and his trying just saying, "Oh, I didn't mean that. Everything I said was wrong, and I'm a liar." And it's just it's funny dialogue there. I really appreciated, and yeah, good stuff. So
Now, the one thing I think we kind of notice is the whole season has been kind of building to, was there something going on with Harcourt and Chris? And we get that where she's on the bike with him, they're riding the peace cycle, they got an ass load of cops behind them, but they have this kind of this moment, right? And you can tell it meant the world to Chris. And then immediately they're surrounded, and then we see the cops get blown up, and it's by the dad and the brother. And
which threw me.
well, but the thing is that even there, because they're like, we see all the cops get shot too, so we're like, okay, they are bad, right? But then, as things kind of progress and we start to hear the dad, we kind of realize that no, they're. I mean, to be fair, they killed a bunch of Nazis, right? Like,
Yeah,
they weren't good people, like, so, like, is it really that? I mean, now I know with everything going on, the killing somebody just because they, whatever. Um, but
this is
they're
a comic book show. Come on,
yeah, but that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. But like,
yeah,
they're Nazis. I don't think that the majority of people, when you think back World War II style, would have a problem of killing Nazis just because of what
right.
they clearly. I mean, you hear even what Adrian's twin there said in this, that they're keeping these people in camps their entire life, and they're not good people, right?
No,
That's the whole point of being
yeah,
Nazis. So I don't think anybody was too sad. And then you're like, okay, well, I mean, they killed a bunch of probably corrupt cops. Well, say probably corrupt
what he
cops.
said. That's what he said. Yeah,
Yeah. And then his dad even says that. And I think that's probably the biggest point in episode 7 was you start to realize that, because we're automatically thinking the dad was a piece of shit in the
hmm
irregular universe. Come to Nazi world, he's got to be loving it, right? But no, he doesn't. Right. And I
yeah,
think that's kind of the biggest shock. He even kind of got on Keith about when he said, about chasing Adebayo. And he's like, why the hell would you do that? Like,
right.
he was of course, then again, for them being very, public figures, there's probably this expectation that they would, right? Even if they agree
Absolutely.
with it or don't.
Yeah, they
So,
have to. They have to. I won't say keep up appearances, but to be able to get as close as they can, because they didn't. His dad didn't really go into it, but the way he kind of was saying things, he didn't believe in the way, but the way he said, we can only try and do good in the moments that we have available to us, right? So it seemed to me like him being in a position of power, appearing that he's helping Argus and he's a Nazi sympathizer, all this is really just a way for him to kind of keep close to Argus to see what's going on. And then he kind of double agents it on his downtime to try and save people and do things the right way. Maybe if he can be in on some of these things, he can do what good he can, I guess is the best way to put it.
well, like, they killed the kaiju in the last episode, right? They
Yeah,
saved a bunch of people. So, and even he says, because when Harcourt calls him a Nazi, he's like, "Don't call me that." He's like,
right.
I don't believe that. He's like, but I don't, he can only fight the battles. Like, one man's not going to fight the entire government at that point, right?
Mm,
Um, so you get the sense that he's doing good. And then when he says, like, look, well, you know what your brother was, when Keith's real super pissed, and he is saying, I believe him when he says he didn't mean to kill him. I mean, he knows how the brother was, because again, the brother, other Chris came in and was just ready to fucking kill him, and he tried
yeah,
to run away, and he
yeah,
chased him. He could have just
yeah.
slammed the door and said, "We're done." No, he chased him and was trying to kill him.
Well, he was
So
a drug head. He was into bad shit. Both his brother Keith and Pop knew what Chris was, like you said.
I don't know, Dad. What was he like?
And I think you're right. He knew this Chris, our Chris, put it that way, was a he didn't mean to do it. He was a good person, which is why when the cops showed up, he was like, "Come get a warrant, get the hell off my property. You're not getting in here."
now, here's the thing I love about that. Now, think back to when that same cop with the I can't remember her name at this moment, but when they showed up at his house in the first season, and he's making all these racist jokes, and he's get the fuck off my property, this, that, and the other. This time he was still being stern, but he was like, he goes, "You guys get back to the road, get off my property." He was like, you got to at least go to the property line. Like he was being real stern, but not like overly like a dick, and
Mm.
like still kind of again he's
Trying
it
to
just
he's trying to protect him. He's trying to protect this Chris to figure out at least
well,
what's going on.
and he even said in there because he was like, you know, your son was connected. I didn't say my son was innocent. You
Right.
know, so like
He
he was
knew.
saying, he's like, I'm not saying he was innocent in this. So that was just an interesting kind of a like switch up because you immediately in your head after first season are thinking that it's going to go this way with him, and then you know it seems like they have this moment. He's professing like I'm trying to do good when I stand in front of God, blah blah, and then boom, there comes vigilante in there and just
It's just
immediately
completely
murks him.
kills him.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, I've watched a lot of people's reactions on that too, reaction channels on that, and everybody, as soon as they see Vigilante, is like, "Oh, he's dead." You know, like you just know, you see him in the back getting closer. You're like, "Yeah, he's gonna die." Like we're losing the dad, and it was
Yeah.
sad because then you know, too. That's the other thing is like Chris had to watch his dad die again. Except this dad was a good dad, and he did love his son, and he even you know was sympathetic to Chris, and because you know Chris was like, "Oh, I just wanted to feel what it's like to have family." And
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So that's the dad he would have wanted. And he's like, he wasn't a Nazi. He wasn't a Nazi. And then they immediately go, and of course, the brother, he's losing his mind because he was already on the verge of losing it after Chris had died. Now that he watched his dad get murdered right in front of him, he's ready to
Mhm.
kill other Chris, even though Chris isn't the one that killed
He's not
anybody, you know?
I know.
Um, so then, you know, Chris has to watch his brother die or almost die. He thinks he's dead,
Almost died.
right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure Harcourt told him, no, I was getting ready to put it, or probably didn't tell him I was getting ready to put him out of his misery. But Chris thinks they just killed his brother, and he had to watch his brother die again. He had to relive all of that. Uh, was kind of crazy, and I don't know. Like, say what you will, like John Cena, like kind of killed it in those a couple of scenes in there. He's done really good as far as you know. You think of him just being this big burly, you know, idiot wrestler guy. He's done pretty decent, in my opinion, in his acting career. And I think this
Yeah, we
kind of showed a good range.
Yeah, we talked about last I almost said episode and last video. From the beginning of even the first season of Peacemaker through his he's done a great job portraying Peacemaker, but also those you can tell his progression in his skill set of an acting career in this role specifically has definitely gotten better. So yeah, and then you know they escape, and again he turns himself in, gives them the doorway,
Right.
hands that over to Argus and Flag, and then of course they arrest
And
Chris. And
protects his friends because he said they came to get me to
yes,
convince me to. So it got them in the good graces of Argus.
yeah, yeah, which I don't even know if Rick Flag fully believes them at all.
He
I don't think he
well,
trusts any of them,
well,
but
here's the thing. As we going into episode 8, we'll go into that because clearly something else is going on. So
yeah.
episode 8 starts Mantis.
Yeah, yeah. So episode 8 starts again, and Chris is arrested. He's got this because it kind of stems all from really the whole series, but really culminated in that last episode when he had to, like you mentioned, he had to watch his brother almost die again, watch his dad die again. He comments to this guard that comes in that he's the angel of death, and the guard kind of takes it as a big tough guy. He calls himself the angel of death, blah blah blah, laughs it off, right? Really though, Chris is having to live through these events over and over again. He feels anyone that gets close to him dies, that he causes all this mayhem around him, which we'll come back later in this episode, kind of an emotional thing that happens between his friends and him, particularly out of bio. But so yeah, they arrest him and he's in jail, and you know the rest. Economos is back and trying to help them figure out what's going on with this other universe thing, because in episode 7, you know, we know that Flag's working with Lex, and he gets his whole team, his old team. You know, Otis is there. I forget the lady's name. And then the mustache guy looks awesome. He's there helping them all, you know, figure out what this is, work through it. And they're trying to find something, right? They're trying to Harcourt's helping them out, along with the rest of the team that kind of was with Tim Meadows. I always forget that character's name. That was with
Flurry.
Tim Meadows. Yes, and they're all going into the universe trying to check these doors. They're going checking to see which doors open, and they got it reminds me of Stranger Things kind of because they've got these ropes right to so no one gets pulled in, gets lost, and the first door they come to, which I thought was hilarious, it looks like Candyland,
I was about to
kind of.
say fucking Candyland.
It's like Candyland, right? You go in and they're like, "Oh my!" Then yeah, they get attacked by these little fucking looking gummy bear looking things that
Dude, those were kind of reminded me of, if you remember in the Suicide Squad movie, the little fish things that were in there with King Shark. It was kind of
yes,
like them, but a land version. They look so
yeah,
cute and sweet, and then they're just immediately trying to murder people.
yeah. So and they do. They kill. I don't know the guy's name, but the one that Tim Meadows was talking about, he threw up all over that stripper's titties or whatever. And yeah, so he dies.
Oh,
And it's a
real
yeah,
quick, I would like to say we finally got Titties back in an episode, so she's okay after the
she's
attack on
fine.
it from Eagly. Titties was in this episode.
Yeah, and through kind of this process of going through these doors, they keep losing people, and it's really taken a toll on the metahuman. I forget her name too. The one that's the cyborgy robot lady. Because you kind of forget that she's metahuman. But so she's kind of realizing there's something else going on here. They keep Rick Flag keeps telling them we're trying to find this particular thing, right? But people keep dying, and she doesn't quite believe Rick. Maybe she's turning on him a little bit. Harcourt sees it. They both have kind of a moment. That maybe this is not good. But like she even makes a point. It's like whenever I don't, maybe she says it. I can't remember who says it, but whenever have we done anything that's good for the people, right? Like anything that Argus has ever done has been for nefarious reasons. Um, and so yeah, they find a couple. There's one door they open up with this skull looking like spider thing, and then they're like, "No, let's not go in
You hear
there."
them immediately screaming, and you're like, "Yeah,
Mm.
let's not go to that one." I think we're okay
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah,
So,
and yeah, and Chris is still in jail. The funny part here that you kind of they still haven't quite answered. They kind of hint to it because there's a scene where Adebayo goes back to talk with Adrian, and throughout this series, he's been just an asshole to his mom. Like just a complete douchebag to her. She's always been okay with him, she's a little quirky, whatever, but she seems like lighthearted and she just cares for her
she
son,
seems
but he's just a
sweet.
dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's something there he mentions when he's talking to Adebayo about the blood money, and he's like, my brother, I forget what he says, like his brother was a horrible person.
Well, Peacemaker says it to
That's what it
Harcourt.
okay.
Yeah, Peacemaker says it to Harcourt, and because he's so this is they flash back a month before, and this is where we kind of learn about the boat incident that he
Sure,
keeps
yeah.
referencing, right? And she's asking, and I like that Harcourt recognizes that, dude, Adrian is ride or die for Peacemaker, right? He is
Mhm.
there. She even thinks that he might have feelings for him because
Yeah.
we know like he wanted to be invited to the orgy. We've known he's had a threesome with Peacemaker in the first season. Like he wants the, and he's even like, like he'll do it because it's with his bro, right?
Yeah.
And she even says, you don't treat him that well, right? You've taken obviously Eagly, which we can't hate on him like an Eagly is number one, but then you now taken Adebayo as your second favorite or your BFF. What about Adrian? And you
Yeah.
realize that he's like, yeah, his brother was real mean to him, which I'm sure is part of the mom seems kind of naive and like
Mhm.
lets everything roll off of her. So I'm sure she witnessed this
And didn't do
and
anything about it.
was
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys are just playing around. And he had this miserable life that turned him into how he is. So that's probably why he hates his mom. Speculating, not saying that's what's going on, but
Yeah.
it definitely kind of seems it because there is that. I mean, because you even see he says these things to her and they just like, they
She
don't stick.
doesn't
She
she
doesn't
doesn't
react
take any
the way
offense. Yeah.
any of us would.
Yeah, yeah,
E
I'd be like, "What the fuck you?" Like, like
Even if Mantis said that to me, I mean, granted, we've known each other that long, like, I'd just be like, "Well, fuck you too," like something. She just is complete, like, it just did not stick at all. Like, he said different words to her.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say yeah, and then you brought up the flashbacks because that's one thing to this whole season that Chris has referenced multiple times about the what happened on the boat, right? And
Now,
I thought it was like a yacht or something, right?
I will say, I thought when they first mentioned, well, I thought they had sex. I thought they hooked up.
Yeah, I
As
thought they got hooked up on a yacht or something
Yeah,
like that.
like the party boat was like, oh yeah, we were out on this party boat. I thought they made it the way they made it sound. Maybe it was just how I took it. Maybe I was just hoping that that's what was going on. But the way they made that initially in the beginning of the season was that they had hooked up. We find out that
Mhm.
that's not the case. They
Yes.
just had I probably for Chris a more intimate moment, right? Because he's
Yeah,
used to having orgies and all this other stuff, but they had this moment. They were
but he cares for her.
dancing and
He
they
cares for her.
kissed. Yeah. Now I will say the weird thing is though too in both the flashbacks where I say flashbacks when we see the flashback of that, but then at the end I'm jumping ahead real quick on just to reference this point. It almost seems like the other Amelia because we see her
A little
smiling a
bit.
lot, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. She turned into someone else almost
Like,
when
she
you
was
look at that moment.
dancing in the
Yeah,
flashback and, she's kinda getting into it, and I think she let her guard down a little bit, and I think that's what scared her, and that's why then she had to push Chris away. She let her
mhm,
guard down, she realized she cared about him, and now she's like, "Nope, I can't have that." And then she was just a complete bitch to him the rest of the time and going and fighting other dudes and all of
yeah,
that. So, uh,
yeah.
got the context there with that, and now we kinda understand why and why he pushes for it so hard. We find out we're going to skip a little ahead because of the time we're running on right now that she felt the same way. She said it meant everything to me. And he acted like every one of us guys do when the girl you really like finally confesses she loved. He's up there dancing. And then he said, and that solved all of his problems that happened from episode 7. He was fine. We are going to go start a business now. And if you notice, again, we're skipping ahead just for time's sake. The business they start because obviously they decide to use
Blood money.
Vigilante's blood money
Yeah.
is they start Checkmate. Now, if for those of you know, obviously that's been in DC. It is the DC anti-heroes. We saw it most notably when I think of Checkmate in live action. You saw it in season 9 of Smallville.
You sure are nice to look at. But I like to have my cake and eat it too. Mm. I want your loyalty to checkmate.
Checkmate was
Mm,
headed up by Amanda Waller. So it's interesting that now it's her daughter that's starting Checkmate. But we
mhm.
know that is going to play obviously into now. James Gunn has said that he is not given a definitive that there's going to be a season 3, but we know the whole point was Rick Flag was trying to find a place that turns out was to be a prison, basically, for
Yeah,
metahumans.
it's what Lex wanted to do, right? That's the whole point in Superman was to cage up all of the metahumans in this other dimension. It's just
But
yeah,
they wanted a stable connection, and that's the
right,
key. Is the alien device gave them the stable connection, whereas Lex's was not.
right.
So sorry, go ahead.
And it moves, right? Like that's a whole stipulation too. When they reconnect to that world through their they won't have to go to the 100 door or 100 different universe, we'll just call it a crossroads
Yes,
thing
they set
there.
it up to where it'll go to there, but the door will appear in different locations each time. So
Yes. Yeah.
they won't obviously be able to get to it, and then I guess they're hoping that all the other metahumans will just kind of wipe each other out. So
Right. Yeah.
Chris gets
Yeah.
sent there as a guinea pig, and that is Rick Flag's "fuck you" to Chris.
Yeah. He's like straight up says this is
Ricky,
for Ricky. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah,
Ricky.
shuts the door. Chris almost gets through, but then he doesn't. And then yeah, the episode ends there with these noises coming
The woods.
from the woods. Yeah, about what's going on there, which I'd have to think they would have explored from the pictures when Rick is talking to the national security advisors there at the Pentagon. You can see on the TV screen behind him there are pictures of like streams and places like that I'm assuming they've explored there, so they know what's there, but they didn't mention anything about monsters or anything like that. So I it was a weird place to leave it off. I'll say that. Like, um, I was I was expecting a little bit more of a finale than that. You
Well,
know,
let's get into the meat and potatoes of it, right? Because now we got a few minutes to talk about the whole season, right? To me, this season was underwhelming, right? Because we never had a big baddie. We didn't have any. We didn't have a true bad guy. Because again, is Rick Flag really doing bad by sending the bad metahumans? Now, obviously, we know what that's going to lead to. Is where do you draw the line? Who ends up going
Yeah,
over there that could possibly get killed? But is he doing bad? But we didn't have a big baddie. We they Harcourt and Peacemaker kind of ended up the exact place where it seems like they started from the beginning of the season. Like they know they like each other, except now I guess they've finally vocalized it.
they
But
said it. Yeah,
they're still not. I mean, well, she didn't say I love you. He did. She just said yes. It was
it meant something.
it meant everything to me.
Yeah,
So, that's now they've started checkmate, but there's no and he gets kidnapped in this, but there was no big baddie, there was no anything. I just felt like there were just this was kind of a meh season to borrow Mantis's
yeah.
phrase here. Like
No,
there
yeah.
wasn't a lot that really happened.
Yeah, it was okay. There was funny parts here and there. It kind of felt like a transition season. Like, have you ever seen those like transition movies? I don't want to say it like it was the second episode or second movie in a trilogy because honestly, of the '80s, like
Seconds usually they're the
usually
best.
good. Yeah, they're usually good. So I didn't want to say that. It just felt like a season that's kind of they didn't want to make any waves any way, right? They just wanted it to be kind of okay. This is we're trying to get to this part in the story, and this is whatever happens in between doesn't really matter.
There were like we don't have to want to fucking retcon things, because we did this,
Yeah,
right? So let's not make waves. We set up checkmate, which can play out in the other,
the
other
Waller series
movies.
maybe.
Yeah, the Waller series. Maybe she takes over checkmate if she doesn't, get criminally indicted, or I'll say charter or found
Yeah,
guilty because I think she's
right.
already indicted. But and then maybe whatever might happen, and then that also explain if you're not going to have Peacemaker in there, if you're not going to do a season 3, maybe. But that's where it just kind of made it as a kind of. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a great
Yeah,
season. Like I,
first
I
season was better for sure.
for yeah, 100%. Uh, so I don't know. I was expecting a little more. We didn't get any resolution with Keith. I thought like we would have maybe seen something,
Hmm.
like at least a hospital scene where he's like whatever planning. Like they just left him at yeah. We saw his eye open and we knew he was still alive, and that's it. And he's
Yeah,
raging about that. Like we didn't get anything like that. I don't know. It was a little weird for me. I felt
yeah,
like we needed some kind of, especially when he talks about that he isn't sure that there's going to be a season 3. I need some things closed up a little bit, and
yeah.
maybe a little more
I
action.
Yeah, it was kind of mundane throughout, and that was what I was hoping on this last episode because it was longer episode, wasn't it? Like an hour and it's like an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes or something like that. And I just was hoping for a better climax. It just felt like they left it uh, way open ended. Um, and it's kind of disappointing, but who knows? Maybe, like you said, maybe who knows? Maybe even Peacemaker will get his own movie at this point. Who knows? We don't know what they're gonna do. So, but yeah. Oh, it was the
Yeah, I mean, take it or leave it. I think it was good. I think where a lot of people kind of have a problem with is even in this last episode here. I do love that they had Steel Panther as fucking my heart
yes.
in the ass playing because as soon as I heard it, I was like, I know that I love that song. It's awesome. But then I
Yep.
think for a lot of people, guys, and if you don't like Steel Panther, you don't like the type of music. 100% understand. It's not for everybody. But I think that's where a lot of people had a problem is like are you going too far with it? Because you have that song playing, they're doing coke. Like, why are the people that are working with Argus they're doing coke at their desk? They're working with Argus. Like, are you kind of going a little too like how much debauchery can we get away with? Right. Which I'm okay if you keep it in like the shows and those movies that it's for, it's not going to spill over to your Supermans and things like that, right? Which is
Mhm.
why I kind of figured we would not have Superman show up in this season. I expected Lex, and I
Mhm.
predicted it before it happened. We just didn't get the video out in time. But I figured Superman wouldn't show up because you don't want him intermingled with somebody like Peacemaker. It's kind of like I know there's supposedly the rumor of it that is like why you wouldn't bring Deadpool into the Avengers movie, right? You don't want to if you're bringing all the classic Avengers because you don't want to like muddy the waters with somebody
Mhm.
that perverted and foul mouthed with Captain America. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's a very good contrast, in my opinion.
yeah, I'm okay with it too, but I understand that some people maybe it's a little too much with, DC and like you're thinking Superman because that's the only movie we have out right now. It's like, oh, I don't want to. If I'm thinking DC, I don't want to think about Superman saving a squirrel and them having a massive orgy doing a bunch of coke. Right? It's too
Yeah.
so contrasting for some people. Other people,
Sure.
like I said, I like that because like I can get all that funny, goofy, you know, more
Raunchy.
vulgar humor, yeah, raunchy humor that still enjoy. I'm sorry, I do, but then I can get my wholesome Superman saving some squirrels and shit that kind of give a good balance.
Yeah.
So, but guys, we will have to wait and see if they finally greenlight a season 3 or if James Gunn just says maybe we'll spawn some things off into some other projects because his wife is in there. I'm sure Harcourt's going to show up in something else. We know the Waller series is still set to go, which will Economos and obviously Waller. I'm sure Harcourt's going to show up in that. So maybe that's where we'll see everybody else and they'll kind of pull away from the Peacemaker. And it'll just be like Waller and they'll all be work, which I don't think they'll want to work for, but I don't know.
Never
We'll
know.
see.
They may put chips in all their heads. Who knows?
Right? I mean, they were still able to track him with it. So,
Yep.
all right, guys. If you have made it with us this far, because we're running a little bit long on this, I apologize. We had the 2 episodes and there was a lot to cover.
Mm.
Consider giving the video a like, subscribing to the channel, having the bell notifications clicked so you don't miss out when we release any of the videos as far as what's going on in the DCU, whether Peacemaker is going to get a 3rd season or not. We will be covering all of that as well. We have a lot going on in the comic book universe, not only with the Absolute universe, but in the regular Justice League Unlimited universe. The KO event has started. Mantis and I will be covering that. We'll probably be breaking those up into us individually covering a lot of that because there's going to be a lot to cover. So it'll be a little difficult
A
to
lot.
get both of us on every one of those videos. Be on the lookout
Yeah.
for that. Have the bell notification click. Go ahead, Mantis. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, right now you can actually get started on it. I don't know if you guys haven't checked out the Justice League Unlimited series that we've done. You can watch all those if you want, but if you really want to start with the KO event, start with issue 7 or not 7,
11.
11. Start with issue 11 there. Then again, uh, Cal has got the Omega Act that's going to come out. That's the second prelude that starts, and then the KO event is the next one in line there that we're going to be doing a together episode on that. We may break it up after that, just depending because there's what 12 or 15 comics in that event. It
24.
spans 24.
24 in
Holy
that
crap.
event, in the whole
Holy
event.
crap, guys!
So
So that's over several months. So come along with us on that. We will definitely have a playlist for that if you want to jump in on that. But for right now, you can go ahead and watch the video that we did for Justice League Unlimited 11 that will start that, and then look in the next couple days or next coming week for the next issues in that line. So yeah,
all right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for us on this episode, not issue of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys. We'll see you then.
later.